if an immigrant comes to the U.S., of someone who's not a U.S. citizen comes to the U.S. either on a tourist visa or on a visa waiver, the visa waiver program, a lot of people refer to that as ESTA because that's one of the forms they fill out to get that visa waiver. Can they get married and apply for a green card in the U.S.? Is that a good strategy? We see that batted around a lot online, and that's just possibly our top question of all time about marriage-based green cards, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And with this question, we know that there's a lot of online forums, or you might have had friends or other individuals that have said that they have done it this way. But the reality is that if you come on a tourist visa, tourist visas are what they call non-immigrant intent, which means that when you receive that visa and when you travel to the U.S. on that visa, you're telling immigration that you have the intent to come here for the purpose of travel, short term, not to live here, not to get married, and not to file your green card. And so you can't come to the United States with a tourist visa or ESTA with the intent of getting married and filing your green card application because immigration doesn't want you to circumvent the normal process that's involved for individuals who are living abroad. You want to expand on that?
I would just say because the normal process is so annoying and time consuming.
If
they had a normal, and that's kind of what makes people want to try that option. And I would just say that, for some people, they come into the U.S. with non-immigrant intent, and then something changes once they're here. And a perfect example is what's happened with coronavirus. We had people who were doing their case a different way. They were going to do a spouse visa or maybe a fiance visa, but they happened to be inside the U.S. in March when a lot of this hit, and international travel was shut down. A lot of things became very difficult. And for some of those people, they ended up getting married or they were already married. And because they didn't have the intention of staying when they first came in with their visa waiver or with their tourist visa, but the circumstances changed quite drastically, they actually are legally permitted to change their strategy at that point and just go ahead and file the case inside the U.S. So we did have a lot of people who ended up taking that route. Sometimes we see other situations where maybe someone came in on a student visa or a tourist visa and they met someone and fell in love and it just wasn't foreseen. So the problem really is if you just have this plan that's like, I'm gonna sell all my belongings and like put my wedding dress in my suitcase and fly to America with my ESTA and then get married and stay. So that's what's not allowed. So it's a very fact-specific situation. I think that's really important. It depends. I think one more thing I would want to say about that, because you're right, this is the sort of thing we could probably talk about for a long time, is that a lot of I know people who have done this is under different policies, different administrations, and this particular thing where people are coming in as tourists and then getting married and staying has been really singled out for additional scrutiny, it just is not as easy as it used to be to do that. It's true that maybe in the past, officers have kind of looked the other way, but now we're seeing significant pushback. We've seen actual changes in some of the written policies that the government has for the workers who assess these cases. So, if you did it in 1990, it's a little different now, or even like 3 years ago, it's different now. So people look out. You just don't want to risk your whole life on that, basically. No, we've seen some cases get kind of complicated from that. So